Do you know who your options are on the New Mexico ballot as far as third-party candidates?
I'm not 100% sure as to what my options for third parties are in the New Mexico ballots.
Yes, actually this is the first election I've become more aware of third-party candidates, and Gary Johnson, he seems like he's the big one as far as New Mexico population goes.
I know for the Green Party there's a female, but I really don't know the other options now.
Okay.
As far as third party, all I really know is Gary Johnson. I mean, maybe Bernie Sanders might be on there.
I believe it's Gary Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. And some other lady that I don't know. I don't know her name.
Well, in my opinion, having third party options is extremely important, because sometimes we end up with two people that we may not see as a good fit for, being the president of the United States. It can get crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the two-party system worked really well for a while, but I think it is starting to become more important to have more options, just because there are so many different sides to issues now where it is not so much black and white, to where there is a lot of gray area in different issues. And so I think a third party brings a really good perspective to those.
I think it's pretty important, because if you don't like the two candidates, then you should still be able to vote.
Oh, it's extremely important, because if you don't agree with either party, obviously like kind of the issue we're having now, then you look toward other mentors, other leaders throughout society to get stuff done.
It's really important because if you only have two parties that you only get the side of view of only two sides. A democratic country like the U.S. should have more than one party, just because it makes it more fair and more equal towards the people.
I agree.
Why do you think the media puts so much emphasis on only the Democratic and Republican parties?
The reason I think they put a lot of airtime, or they exemplify the Democratic and Republican just main nominees, is, in my opinion, they're entertaining. They do crazy stuff all the time. They say crazy things, and it invokes a lot of emotion in people every time they say something.
Definitely.
I think it has a lot to do just because we are a two-party system, that we really do focus mostly on those two, because in Congress it is just Democratic and Republican representatives, and so you want those people to kind of be represented through your votes here.
I feel like the third party just isn't as popular as the Republican and Democrats.
It's more or less that we kind of allowed that to happen in a two-party system. Luckily, we're educated individuals as Americans, so it allows us to look toward different leaders throughout the country.
I'm not sure, probably because those parties are the ones that have the most money.
In regard to the third-party candidates and the issues that I would like to see them address, I would actually more or less like to see such a less extreme standpoint on just one or two topics, and more logical, more rational, more calm responses to just a wider variety of, just an array of issues. I don't like to see one person yelling about one thing for 25-30 minutes, or overall. I would really like to just hear reasonable options for an array of different problems, because we all know we have lots of different problems.
I think foreign policy is a big one right now that isn't super covered. Immigration is more of the focus. However, I think it would be very important to hear from them on how not just nationally they view what their plans are, but internationally as well. I think is a big one.
I agree.
Of the third-party candidates, I'd be probably interested in learning a lot about their immigration issues, or tax reforms, what they're planning to take out with their plans. I like learning that stuff.
Definitely like foreign policies and stuff. I think that's pretty important, especially in today's day and age.
I would like to understand education because I feel like society is very undereducated right now.
I see the environment, the economy, and basically, you know, what are their takes on taxes as well.
I think 15% sounds good. It doesn't sound, it isn't an extremely high number, but it also isn't, you know, extremely low. I feel like that's a good percentage to allow someone else to, you know, have the option to debate with the presidential candidates. Yes.
I don't. I think that's a very hard number to reach, especially if they aren't included in the news coverage, because it is so much Democratic and Republican that 15% is a very unrealistic goal to kind of have them be included. So it's kind of putting them down before they even have the chance to represent themselves.
I think they should be able to debate despite that. So, benchmark for them should be maybe like 10%. A little easier, but still up there.
Yeah, I mean, because if they're not popular, then a lot of people won't listen to them.
I see that it does make sense because you need followers as a leader.
I feel it should be much less, right? Because we should, like I said earlier, we should have more than two parties, especially participating in a debate.
What qualities do you look for when voting for a presidential candidate?
The qualities that I look for when looking at voting for a presidential candidate are solidarity and reason, especially. I don't like to see contradictory statements. I don't like to see an interview from 4 weeks ago saying one thing and then an interview now saying the complete opposite of what they said before. And I like to see confidence in what they're saying, not in a belligerent or extreme way, but, you know, having real feelings about what they are saying and what they're proposing.
I look for like a people person, like very in emotion with their personal side. Like people are people, not really just for themselves.
I look for someone who's gonna like better my future, because I am just only 18 years old. So I want someone who's gonna look out for me, and especially like the student debt thing, that's pretty important to me right now. So yeah, something that's gonna better my future.
It's just the leadership, really. So I don't know, it's just those types of qualities that where individuals stand out, have courage, you know, stuff like that. Actually feel for the people, empathy.